All right, so what is up, everybody? Today I'm just going to be making a movement guide video. I had a few friends who I joked about it in a group chat and said I was going to make one, so I'm actually going to do it. So I have a few notes, but that's about it. So let's just get right into it. All right, so let's get started. So basically, like I said, I had a few topics I wanted to cover. So first we're going to start off with cameraing. So cameraing is basically when you come around the corner, and it'd be nicer, obviously, if I had somebody with me here, but I don't. So it's basically you come around a corner and you can see the other person before they can see you, right? So you come around the corner that you can see them first. There's a reason for that, which we'll get into. Not only from this side can you see them first, but from over here, your tracking is gonna be way off. So like if somebody's waiting for you to come around the corner, like they can't just snap and then track your movement. Like you're gonna be coming around here flying. Like it's gonna be really hard, even with aim assist, for them to track it. So that also helps you win the gunfight. But this kind of leads into another topic, but you see how the gun is positioned on the right side. So when I peek to my right, and I have a few bots in this game, so hopefully it's not too loud, but when I peek to my right, I have the advantage. It's called peeker's advantage. So a lot of people who play FPSs probably already know what this is, but if you're peeking to your right, you have peeker's advantage. So if somebody's standing right here, you will see them just ever so slightly sooner peeking from this way if they're standing right here waiting for you. So use that to your advantage, especially when it comes to cameraing. If you're cameraing from the right side like this, or technically from the left, but you're going right, you can have that advantage where you'll see your opponent before they see you. Now take it the opposite side. So if somebody thinks that you're over here and they're holding this way, when you come around this corner like this, because your gun is on your right side, right? And when you aim it down, it's in the middle. But when you peek this way, they can see you now before you can see them, and your body's gonna be showing it is gonna be exposed. So cameraing from this side is a little bit more difficult to win the gunfight. Obviously, mechanically it feels the same, but keep that in mind when you're challenging your gunfights. It doesn't really make a huge difference, especially when the game's moving at a million miles an hour, like it usually will, but definitely keep that in mind when it comes to the camera. So next up with the camera, we're going to go into shouldering. So shouldering is kind of something you do just to, I mean, in other games, pretty sure it's just called jiggling. But it's when you expose yourself just to get information. If you think somebody's playing inside of closed, but you don't know and you don't have the right gun to challenge them, like let's say you think they're laying prone with an AR, or he's over there where the bot was, you can peek it and just like check, or like what I like to do is just draw out shots without actually getting information. So what I'll do typically is I'll go like this, and that's just so I can draw out their shots, because like I said, COD is so fast paced that a lot of people just they see an enemy and they just shoot. Like they don't actually think to take the time not to shoot. So I don't actually need to see them there when I'm shouldering. I just need to get the info, so I'll sprint past it and then come right back. And if I draw the shots out, then I'll use the audio cue to know where the opponent actually is. So that's definitely a good thing to do with that. And obviously, once again, shouldering will be a little bit easier from when you're left peeking right than when you're on the opposite side. So keep that in mind when you're shouldering, and it can be really useful for your gunfights, especially if you're using a gun that doesn't have the best ADS speed. Let's say you're using a an AR like the TAC 56. It doesn't aim and walk as fast as this gun does, especially not with the stock that I'm using. So if you don't want to have to, like, somebody's sitting on this heady right here, you don't want to have to like walk out and peek them all the time, especially if you're using a gun that's slow, because if it's too slow, it's gonna be hard to get back behind cover still in your sights really quickly. So either you go like not ADS, or obviously make sure you're using the right gun to peek quickly before you do that. So next we're going to go into the dive. So the dive is a movement in this game, obviously, that it can be used. It can be really effective if used properly, and if you watch the CDL, obviously you know that now. At the beginning of the year, people weren't really using it. They were bunny hopping, but that is no longer in the game. So the dive is your next best option. So basically, when it comes to the dive, First you want to make sure your settings are on inverted. So first go to controller, advanced, and scroll down to inverted slide and dive behavior. Make sure this is inverted, especially if you have a custom controller, like I have a Scuff Impact. So I have 4 paddles on the back of my controller. If you do not have 4 paddles, or any paddles at all, like a Battle Beaver or anything, you need to make sure you're on inverted if you're playing claw or anything like that. Inverted allows you to tap your button to dive, and it makes you be able to do it way quicker. So like in the original setting, if it's on hold, if you stand up and sprint, before you actually are holding it long enough for the game to register you holding it, you'll take like 3 steps. When you have it on tap, you can just stand up, and as soon as he recognizes you're running, you can just tap it. Like I could be standing still. I take what, 1 or 2 steps before I dive. Sometimes you'll do that where you aren't going quick enough and you'll crouch. But yeah, it's really helpful. Like you challenge a gunfight, turn around, dive. You take like 1 step before you can dive. Like it's the quickest thing ever. So that's really helpful. Make sure it's on inverted. But I want to talk about using the dive to your advantage. So obviously you can just dive whenever you want, but it's not a movement you can exploit, like the G slide in the past years, or the slide cancel. Thinking back to to Black Ops 3, but it's not something you can abuse like the slide cancel. I freaking did it again. So we get back to the dive. So basically, like right here, here's an example of a spot where you can use the dive to your advantage to get to a position. So a lot of times you'll see people off the break in control or hardpoint. They spawn back here. A lot of SMGs will run out this window, and they'll dive out this window. And I messed it up, but it doesn't really make a huge difference because you can get all the way to this wall here. But a lot of times you'll see them, they'll want to get across this wall so that they can then, these players are coming out here, they're peeking over here, they're coming out of, bottom single, they're peeking here and up. You can get to a position where you're at an advantage and your opponent doesn't expect you because the movement is so quick. Obviously, if I was just running out the window and jumping, like that split second it takes to get there longer is all the difference all the difference it needs in this game. COD is really a game of seconds, honestly milliseconds, because everything moves so fast. So, but basically what I was trying to do at the beginning was, you can imagine like your knees are hitting off of an object, and when they hit off, you jump. That allows you to kind of like cancel out of the dive. And I'm not sure if I really did it there, but and it allows you to stand back up in midair and then get back into it and keep moving. That can be really effective when you're going a lot of different places, diving off of a lot of different things. And if you get really proficient at it, you can really do it from anywhere, and keep it moving. Obviously, I keep messing it up, but it lets you get a little bit deeper in your jump, and it lets you cancel it to where you can shoot immediately. So you saw that dive right there. Let's say I have my gun out and I dive. That's as soon as I can shoot when I do that. Thinking too much, but if you actually nail it like that right there, you land on your feet and you literally can shoot immediately. And I'm telling you, I don't have anybody in this lobby. Once again, the animation looks so weird. Like if your opponent, you do that jump, land there, your opponent's back here waiting for you, like it's gonna look like they're just gonna be thrown off. Honestly, they really are. Like they can still kill you obviously because you don't have any cover, but it's a very good movement to definitely get more comfortable at, and that tap behavior is going to help you do that, and get better at it out the windows. So that's a higher level movement. I don't think that's mainly what you want to be focusing on. First and foremost is making sure that your dive is actually very efficient. So what I mean by that is when you're diving, make sure it's not like, make sure you're just not trying to look like Shotzi and make a top 10 play of the week clip. You want to be doing it in a good way. So you kill somebody and you dive behind cover. So let's say you saw that kill right there. As soon as I start shooting at them, somebody runs out of top maps to get their trade. So you get that kill, dive. If you try to get that kill and sprint out, I promise you like 50%, maybe even more of the times, you're gonna be in a situation where you lose it. So let's say you're coming around here, maybe you're trying to flank P2. Hard point way in the back over there. There's an enemy where he just was on this head glitch. So you come around this corner, Dead. Dive back here. This allows you to where if there's anyone who's on the forklift, on double steps, or even just roaming this back semi, which you know every player likes to do, it allows you to be able to regenerate health first if that player gets shots on you here. And it also allows you to get your bearings, understand where shots are, buy time to get a call out from a teammate, anything like that. So, you know, you come around this corner, bang, get that kill, run, dive. You have cover. Obviously, this truck can blow up, so maybe make sure it's blown up already. But yeah, that's definitely a big thing when it comes to your movement. All right, next, I just want to talk about knife play as a submachine gun or an AR. So I'm going to switch to my AR class. So now that we're on the AR, I just want to show, even when you have double time and tac sprint loaded, the AR just doesn't move that effectively. So you're running here, and it's just so slow to get around. Even if you're not using like the heaviest attachments and things like that are hurting your movement speed. So just playing with your knife out and knowing when to switch weapons, like right there, that's just instinctual. I did not even know that there was a bot there sitting up there. But yeah, knowing when to switch your weapon. So it's definitely a skill that you need because the tac sprint is better with the knife. Some people don't actually think it is, but it actually is. So make sure you have your knife out, and when you know that there's a challenge coming, you need to make sure that you're ready with your gun out at all times. And obviously the jump camera helps you do that because switching your gun takes a long time. So that jump camera buys you that extra second maybe where you actually see if there's an enemy there and if you need to start shooting or not, rather than sprinting out. The sprinting out, even though you ADS quicker from a sprint out, you don't actually get your bullets on as efficiently because you can hip fire out of a jump camera. So definitely recommend playing with your knife out if you want to have better movement, have better slides, more predictable dives, things like that. As I missed the window, you definitely want to be playing with your knife out more often. Next thing I want to cover really quickly, because it's actually something that got patched today. So I'm recording this on March 15th, which is the day of the Season 2 Reloaded update. The melee sprint out for tac sprint actually got patched today. So beforehand, after you ran out of tac sprint, you could just melee your weapon and start tac sprinting again. As you can see, I'm just normal running. They actually patched that today. So just as a warning, don't keep trying to do that, wondering why it's not working for you. Because the reason it's not working is because it got patched today. And that was actually a really efficient method of getting places on S&D breaks and things like that. All right, we're getting on to our last few points here. And next I want to go over drop peeking before I get on to the big one that you're probably thinking of, why haven't I covered yet? So drop peeking is when you're rounding a corner and you want to check it, but you want to commit and you don't, like, obviously shouldering doesn't really give you a chance to get the kill. You know, you're just kind of checking it really quickly. A drop peek is when you want to put yourself in a position to win a gunfight. So maybe you may use this in S&D, you know, where you don't want to give away your position unless you're getting ready to fight. So let's say you're playing stage, right? It's P2 hardpoint, and you're playing. You get a kill here, and your teammate dies in open, and they call somebody out in open. So you run here, and you want to start dropping, and the timing will get better as time goes on, as you practice it more. But basically, it will completely destroy any opponent that you come up against. Like, it's gonna be so difficult for them to react in a timely manner. Like, I'm not guaranteeing you it wins the gunfight. Obviously, the only thing that wins gunfights is gun skill. But if your opponent gets a kill and they're running through here, maybe they're even pre-aiming, the gun blocks so much of your line of sight that if you are prone under it, as you've probably seen this a million times in your own fights, you may miss somebody under your gun. So let's say, you know, this person has an AR, kills someone top single, and they're pre-aiming backstage because everybody likes a snake back there. If you come around here and try to jump camera, they literally, the rotational aim assist in this game is so strong. I need to get a running opponent for me to show you how strong rotational aim assist is, because it's not gonna be able to show it somebody that's running in a straight line. But the rotational aim assist in this game is so strong that if you try to jump camera someone who's that close with a like a sub, for example, they'll probably win the gunfight. Unless their ping is just like 80 or something. But they come around here, you jump peek them, they could very easily just track you out the sky as you're jumping, especially since your flight path is so predictable. But your plane of movement when you're jumping or dropping is not predictable because you can go either way. Once you jump and you're in midair, your opponent knows exactly which direction you're going. So they, even when you're not there yet, they know which way you're gonna go. That's why I see people so many times jumping off of things to challenge gunfights. And if you're like in the flow state, you're cracked, like yes, it can work. When, oh, you know somebody's at the pickup, you just run and jump off the pickup. But your flight path is so predictable. Like the physics isn't, obviously it's nothing crazy. So when you jump out like this, the opponent knows you're falling down to your right. And they can just literally sit back here and they can track that. But when you're doing something like drop peeking a corner, there's no way for them to know you're not going to jump or drop, especially into a game like today's. Jump shotting is so much more popular. Even if you're not jump cameraing, you come around this corner, you see someone, after a sprint out, you just jump. That's how everybody plays this game. They come around a corner, see someone, jump. Come around a corner, see someone. I tried to jump camera there. It's just a bad habit, but they jump. They see someone, they jump. Okay, switch the map up. So after we, talked about drop peeking a little bit, but just to recap, because it was kind of quick, we're just coming around a corner and aiming as you drop, and it makes your it's very hard to track as an opponent. It's just very difficult, but it also gives you a huge advantage in the gunfight because drop shotting alone, even in the middle of the open, is a very big advantage. So coming around the corner, your opponent expects you at the head glitches. Head glitches are always what people typically peek. You just drop. This isn't exactly a spot where you'd be drop peeking, but it's just for illustration purposes. It's where you want to drop peek. So next, we're going to go on to snaking. So snaking is a movement where you repeatedly drop to prone and sprint back up as fast as you can. And obviously most people know what this is already, but it is so incredibly hard to stop, so incredibly overpowered. And honestly, I feel like the aim assist out of it is so incredibly strong. Like you just do this and you snap, especially with a sub. Like it just like it tracks your opponent so well. It's so weird how I feel like the aim assist works out of it. But obviously from this perspective, you have a great line of sight to anyone who's pushing out this arch. Maybe we're talking, I believe this is like P5 on hardpoint, or it is A on control. So, when you're on this side, on the arch, you see somebody snaking, you're gonna see their head for like the smallest fraction of time. Like it's quicker than you can even see me going up and down. But when I'm in this position, I'm partially prone. You just can't tell on my screen, but on the other person's screen, it looks like I'm prone. But for my screen, it looks like I'm here. So we can still get that line of sight so quickly, but to them, I'm going from prone to standing up immediately. And it makes it so incredibly difficult to kill. You're not going to get any aim assist really, unless the person is snaking too slow and they're not doing it that well. But basically what you just do, like I said, I like to back up and go forward. So when I'm dropping, I back up. And when I move forward when I'm standing up, because that's the best way to engage a gunfight. You don't want to stand up moving backwards. I don't even know how that would work. But yeah, so you sprint out of it, moving forward, and it's just, you can literally just, you don't even have to be watching anything. You could use it to get information. So I could be behind this one, and I can't, like, say my teammates died. I can't watch these two doors and caution and back freezer. So if I'm just snaking like this, somebody is gonna panic shoot at me, more than likely, from one of these spots. And then once they do, I can just turn and look at that spot and keep snaking until I'm comfortable. You find your rhythm. Once you find the rhythm in the snake, that's when you peek. You add more, add less, because if somebody's using attack, they actually can kill you while you're snaking. It's just difficult, obviously. So you don't want to, peek someone and after your first snake you start shooting, because they can rip you. The attack's a 2-bullet kill to the head. So maybe you do like a few. Maybe you jump around, Maybe you hide back here, come back down. You're playing with them. You're baiting out bullets, which is just another part of the game sense of movement, knowing when to engage in gunfights and not engage. Maybe just wait. Your teammates are going to come push, things like that. But they just don't know where you're going to be if you're moving like this. Um, so yeah, just being creative with it, not just snaking once and popping up, because you will get killed. Even with the Vaznev, this gun is so accurate. Somebody will get lucky and, you know, hit their first 3 bullets to the head. The first 3 bullets of the gun are so accurate, you know, they can rip you. So being strategic with the snake, but definitely there's so many good places to use it. So many ways you can just get information, not even go for kills. You can win unwinnable situations with it. Maybe you know, you push alone and there's 2 people posted up. One's on Godheady, one's on this double desk. You do a really bad push. Like, it's just not smart. Let's say you're lucky enough to have a trophy right here. You run on this corner, you're like, oh my goodness, why did I do that? You can snake this box, and yeah, like the Godheady person's so high up they can probably see you, but it just gives you that extra second to regain your composure, rather than coming around here jump peeking. You're instantly dead every time. So it lets you gain that composure. If you have a teammate watching over you, you could snake into a jump, which goes into what I was saying about knowing when to use diving to your advantage, for cover purposes, not just, you know, running into the hill and you want to get there faster, so you hit a dive. Like, actually knowing when it's appropriate to use a dive, to get away from trouble, and protect yourself. So one of the points I brought up when I was in the kitchen, or the dining area, is knowing when not to chow. So if you watch any of my gameplay, which I am going to be doing gameplay breakdown analysis, of iridescent games and ranked play, and also eights matches. Me and my friends like to run eights, just pick up games. I'll be doing breakdowns of my gameplay so you can see what I actually play like in live time if you haven't already seen. But one thing I do, quite often, is knowing when and when not to chow, and being really annoying as a sub player. So let's say, you know, you're in a position where I can't really think of one on this map that I like, but you know, you're in a position where, I'm trying to think of a spot where you can't snake too. Snaking is such a bailout for actual, you know, game sense and proper positioning. But let's say you're in a position, you put yourself in a bad spot, you get a kill here, you over peek here, and you shoot a full bullets and back up. You can play with this area so well, and like, you can pop in and out, snake. Obviously, I'm out of bullets now, but let's say I'm not. This opponent, there's clearly, maybe there's 2 of them who peek you here after this first kill. If you back up, you can call it out. Let's say the hill's on P2. You could have a teammate come here and slow peek, and these people are so focused on you. And COD players like to hunt. If they know you're weak, this person gets a few shots on you before you back up, they're gonna be hunting for you. So you're running, you're hiding, you hear somebody coming, your teammate is watching over this way, they get that first kill, and now you're in the upper hand. So it's like, but a lot of times I'll see players who, I don't know if it's a reaction time thing or if it's just they're so set at shooting gunfights that, because knowing when not to chow is a skill that has to develop over time. Because a lot of people will, especially early on, more casual players will commit to a gunfight and they won't stop shooting until the person's dead. They don't ever back off. They don't do things like that. They don't play their life, as you'll hear a term in the COD community, is said. So you definitely want to know, have that split-second decision making to, you know, you're chowing out here, somebody's on P1, and somebody's sitting behind hot tub. As soon as you see that, oh my goodness, why am I doing that? You back off, maybe you dive and you cross, or you just jump across, and you get into a better position. Maybe this person on the hill dies, just get on hot tub, you just run across, maybe you dive and don't mess it up like I did, just to get to cover before they can kill you, things like that. So just knowing when and when not to chow gunfights. You'd never really want to chow this gunfight from anywhere in this area. Not even from behind this desk, because this desk can be wall banged and hot tub cannot. So things like that, where, you know, you got to know when to chow gunfights, when to get help from your teammates, especially if you're on the hill. That's something I see way too often. If you go back to Fortress, where the fountain is, that's I didn't even remember the hill rotation. I believe it's P3, where that fountain is. You'll see people on the fountain, usually crouched, watching one of the sides. There's 2 sides of it. If somebody comes around, you know, big arch, they'll challenge. If they get weak, they should just immediately go prone and be hide behind a trophy. But a lot of people will just keep shooting, trying to win the gunfight. They die. They have no teammates close to hill, so that's just white. The hill just goes white, and you know, you can mess up the spawns. You can do a lot of stuff by dying on hills. So definitely wanting to learn how to play your life better is a huge thing in this game, and this is definitely a big part of movement. And the last thing I would talk about as this time's expiring on this game would be S&D breaks. Knowing how fast, obviously there's not that many maps, so knowing how fast your opponents can get to certain areas, what kind of nade spots there are, like with the frag grenade over here on the Godheady, or back on the other side if there's a sniper pushing here. Knowing those spots just so you know when to challenge certain things is really big, because those spots they're so influential for the first blood, which is the most important kill in S&D. That's a big part of movement, knowing where you can get, how fast you can get there, what the timing is there. So if you want a video on that, I could go over the nade spots and the S&D timings on every single S&D map. So let me know, but that's pretty much it for the movement guide. If there's anything I need to elaborate on, once again, I will be doing breakdowns of my actual gameplay where you can see the type of movement I actually utilize in game and how I use it. Obviously, I wasn't shooting against anyone here, so it's hard to demonstrate. But yeah, let me know and we'll keep moving from here. But sure to help people out, hopefully make more cracked demons on the map. So if you liked it, share with a friend, teach them how to get out of hard stuck platinum, and yeah, I'll catch you guys.